Welcome back to the Mechanics of Poker podcast and welcome to the Cash Game World Championship special. This time we're gonna do things a little bit differently because over the next 4 episodes you'll get to learn from 5 of the top competitors in the challenge who battled it out in this intense 30-day championship which created some of the toughest mid-stakes games online. We'll dive into how they prepared, what they learned and the road they took to get there, packed with real stories, mindset shifts, strategy, and various tactical gems. I played in the challenge myself and personally handpicked the players who stood out to me the most. So let's meet the crushers and jump into this first episode.
Yeah, so I am basically Kikele at the Coin Poker Challenge, but my real name is Enrique.
Hello guys, my name is Christian Frimmer. I'm probably better known as Equanimity 911. And in the challenge, I played under the name PTSD.
Yeah, so my name is Louis. On the challenge, I was Sherry Sweet. I used to stream under BM Black, but I think I was mostly known on other poker sites as Cherry MX or Cherry Sweet.
I'm Connor Rash, Venator on Coin Poker and known better in MTTs as Fear the Reaper.
Hi, I'm Vanovan Soflop 45 from the challenge and better known as Mosh Machine on Poker Stars.
If you had to describe your current playing style or strategic philosophy in one sentence.
A balanced player to your specific player style.
Go with the flow.
Aggro.
A bit of this, a bit of that.
Balance. I try to play good poker, but I also try and go out of the way when I trust my gut.
What was your first reaction when you heard that they were organizing a mid-stakes version of the Cash Game World Championship? And what made you feel like I have to compete in this?
So I was really excited about it. I remember talking that with a friend that it would be nice for us to have the opportunity to compete because the last December we were following almost every day the high stakes challenge, kind of having also the dream to one day participate in these kind of events. But of course, if it's high stakes, it's gonna take at least a couple of years to be able to participate, not only because of the level, but also the bankroll.
I wanted to compete because I wanted to see in a reg battle format how I would do against guys that are playing maybe like 200 NL to some 1K NL guys.
Hearing that there was a mid-stakes one was definitely something I was interested in. And I wanted to test myself at deep stack because it can be helpful in tournaments as well to get sharp at 100 BBs.
I just thought playing with no rake would be very cool. Never tried that before. And then I also do like rake battling. I was expecting to there be like a lot of regs. So I thought that would be funny as well. And then the leaderboard thing, I think it was super cool aspect. It did make it feel like it made some kind of like MTT aspect in the cash game, which has never been seen before.
I actually was very excited when I first heard about it because last 2 years I was kind of demotivated at my place in poker. I've been playing Midstakes for the last couple of years and before I was playing higher, and I felt like I kind of stuck at those stakes and like been just grinding it like casually without any particular big goals in mind. And this challenge excited me because it's like a big clear goal, and also I thought it's a very achievable goal for me.
Did you do anything specific to get ready for this event, whether this can be strategy, study, mindset? And did you have any kind of plan or goals in mind going in?
I did only pre-flop study because I haven't played with antis too much. But apart from that, no, because I wasn't sure which opponents are gonna play. It didn't make any sense to just study one spot for that 2 weeks because it will have no impact on a 1 month win. Like I think you have to be prepared before that event to just play that, not after.
So I came in fairly unprepared, I would say, just wanting to play my own game, that I was already playing?
No, I didn't come in with any goals. I just kind of wanted to play for the battle and for the fun of it.
What do you think were like some of your strengths and possibly weaknesses going in that, you know, thought that made you think that you had a good shot, or things that you were on the lookout for, like, oh, this is probably something I have to work on?
Well, for me, the best part of the challenge is the cards being displayed after each hand, because my biggest strength has always been, using a meta to my advantage. And, you play a really out of line hand against someone and immediately the equilibrium shifts. So that's one thing I really, really enjoy about poker. And when cards are turned face up after every hand, that change happens much faster, right, than normal poker, because, you don't get so many showdowns on average. Weaknesses, I guess, would just be, not as sharp theoretically in no anti-cash compared to some of these guys who have been grinding more. But during the weeks with anti, I felt at least, I could hold my own with the cash guys. Theory was.
You mentioned already the meta. How would you describe the meta, and how do you think the show element made the meta evolve quickly?
Well, I mean, even in simple hands like 3-bet pre and you fold, you can see if the guy has a combo that's not in range or not. So like, every hand you're gaining information, whether it's they snap 3-bet you and it's aces, or they tank 3-bet you and it's aces. So you get timing reads, you get sizing reads. Just the amount of information you get every hand with cards up is insane compared to regular poker.
Absolutely not. I was grinding like full schedule scoop. So when scoop was about to end, this challenge started. And like while I was having, a couple of tables of MTTs, when I was like one tabling or two tabling, I just added some cash tables. And I had never studied studied any no rake cash before. So I was just playing like this sort of like rake cash ranges. While I hadn't studied anything the first like 3-4 days, I probably lost like 13 buy-ins or something. And then when school was over, I took time and, sat down and started studying. And that's just what I did throughout the whole challenge. I like played a couple of hours, sat out. I had a lot of spots that I screenshotted. Then I just went through, just like not going like super in depth in every hand, but just like studying the kind of spots like overall, and then hopping in again and playing, hopping out, studying, and then just like keep doing that over and over again.
Well, actually, I did something very similar, especially with the preflop. Yeah, I just, okay, I know a bit wider, and let's start from there, and then just review, and reiterate, and every time just get better as you go.
Yeah, and it makes you feel super sharp when you keep doing that, right? Like throughout the end, like the last 25% of the challenge, I didn't do it as much, and I just feel like it does reflect a little bit in my results, that when I don't do it, I just start autopiloting a little bit more. I get almost like a little bit more bored, because if you have just studied some hands, you kind of feel like, oh, I want to go in and like get some sort of spots that I know better now, and it gets more exciting.
Yeah, I feel like you give your brain something to pay attention to, like, oh, we just had this, we just studied this spot. Let's now be on the lookout for it, And if you don't have anything like that, like you said, your brain is like, oh, wait, we're just going to do what we always do. Okay, well, we can just autopilot, right? Chill. There's nothing we have to pay particular attention to.
Yeah, I really feel like, I mean, it's something I thought more about like throughout this challenge, because I feel like there's a bunch of like good recs, but I just also feel like it's a lot about performing. Like I do feel like Stefan is, like he must be like a very good player, right? Since that he has been competing at a very high level, right? But I just feel like he could not perform in this challenge because the buy-in was too low. He was like, so like his performance level was just like not low compared to some other guys, like maybe like me, that could just like be very excited and have fun playing this challenge. Like it just makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, and you saw that, right? I don't know what your experience was in the field, but if you compare like an average 500, maybe 1K table compared to the average tables that were running in the challenge, I would say the average level sometimes would be like 2K NL, it was definitely not 500 in LF, I would say.
I haven't played 2K and L, so I don't really know, and I haven't played like a ton of in L1K as well. So I wouldn't say I have like. I mean, I feel like when I have been playing in L1K, I do feel the difference in the rigs. Like when you get down to an L500, it's like you do want to fold the river a lot. But here in this challenge, it was a different experience. Very different.
I thought I could win it because I have every tools in my toolbox to win it, like years of experience. I'm tough mentally because I dealt with huge swings when I played the higher stakes. Also, I used to be a big grinder. I used to be a Supernova Elite on Star, so I can play huge volume. And I know how to maintain a good focus for long periods of time. So the biggest challenge for me was kind of just to structure the months so I have the time to dedicate to the competition. I have a family with 2 little kids, so it's kind of was the biggest challenge to structure my days. In my head, I was planning to play like 6 tables on full focus and just to grind probably around 50k hands. And I thought with that approach, I have a chance, but not really big because I thought that at the Midstakes there will be a lot of guys who could put like 100k hands volume.
Were you surprised? You mentioned like the volume and that going in, you thought that, you know, a certain minimum volume was required. I think in the end you ended probably top 5 in volume, if I'm not mistaken. Were you
Yes,
surprised that
somewhere around top 5.
people were not putting in more volume?
I actually was really surprised about it. Because I started this challenge by losing 20 buys in first week, and I thought from that point I don't have a chance on winning it, but I did enjoy playing, and the other thing I thought was that it's a good learning opportunity because with showdowns you just can trade your intuition. You see where people bluff, where your like folds are good or not, like those types of things. So I decided to play the most hours as I can, no matter what, just because of the learning opportunity it gives with show tables aspects of it. Basically, just training my intuition.
What was your first week of the grind like when it started? Did anything surprise you or feel different compared to what you might have expected going in?
Well, not only the first week, just the first day. To be able to see the showdowns was really, really crazy. Like also in a mental kind of way, like the game flow that you have during the session that I had was completely different to a normal grind session because you might get bluff and you will always see the showdown. You will show all the showdown. So basically, you will give information and you will receive information in every hand. And that it was something that I didn't expect. And I think in the first week, at least 20 or 30 regs were playing really, really aggressive. Like I think during the challenge, there was like a big change from that. First week, everyone was bluffing every hand, almost any every street. The pre-flop that I saw, the 3 bets that I saw were crazy. Like during the 3rd and 4th week, these guys weren't playing, maybe because they lost a little bit or they just calmed down. But the first impression was like, wow, I didn't expect that. I wasn't adapting quite well to the opponent. Like these guys are really good.
I think the field kind of a bit softer than I expected it to be, and at the same time it was more aggressive than I expected it to be. So it took me some time to readjust because usually when I come to a new pool, I play very overly aggressively until the pool adjusts. And here in the beginning, like the pool is kind of, everyone was over aggressive, and so it kind of developed this kind of meta where you have to slow down a bit. So in the beginning, I think I tried too hard to win this thing. Also, I feel like many people, myself included, treated in a way that like they should win it in a day, when in reality it's like a marathon. You have to like put the same amount of effort every day for the 30 days, and like many people just tried too hard in the first week. Also, one thought that crossed my mind during the first week, because I was thinking that this pool is a kind of a clean pool. I mean, in terms like there is no guys like with a RTA or some other cheating software for sure. Just because of the nature of the event, I think it's like just not reasonable thing to do.
People who are just like bluffing way more and also like catching way more. This aspect of the challenge where you could see the hand every time, it definitely made people want to make the cool bluff way more. Probably also for me, but like there was really this aspect of I want to show the table how cool I am right now. I really feel like that was the thing.
How aggressive people were pre-flop. Post-flop, not so much, but pre-flop, it felt like people were more aggressive. And my first week started off very bad. Downswung, I think, 10 or 15 buy-ins in the first day or two. So I got off to a very bad start, and then caught some heat after that. So the second half of my first week was pretty good, but the first few days were definitely rough.
It honestly surprised me how high the level was for 500 NL, because the last time I really grinded cash seriously was maybe 2022-ish, where I put in a lot of volume, 2021. And the game has progressed a lot since then. And most of my volume has been in MTT, so when I'm playing 100 BB deep, these guys are not quite as sharp at that, because in MTTs it's just a tiny fraction of the game. Guys maybe study it 5% as much as cash guys. So yeah, the level was higher than I expected for 500 NL.
Are you grinding hard, studying solvers, reviewing hands, but still not getting those results that you know you're capable of? You're putting in the time and effort, but without clear direction, that effort does not pay off. That is why I created the Mechanics LeakBuster program, which is the exact system I use to make over 7 figures playing online poker, and have since taught to hundreds of students so they could do the same. Through our Leak Finder stats and pop-ups, you will gain clarity on your biggest leaks and tendencies, insights on how your strategies have been performing in-game, and the impact variance has had on your results. But knowing your stats is only the beginning. In the program, we dig deep into the root causes behind your leaks and tendencies, and use a proven 7-step system to fix them for good and gain the skills to improve and continuously evolve as a poker player. You'll study more effectively, overcome leaks and tendencies that felt impossible to break, and rebuild trust and confidence in your game, finally seeing your hard work pay off as you move up the stakes. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start improving with clarity, break through the patterns that have been holding you back, and take your game to the next level, join the Mechanics LeakBuster program using the link down below. And for the first month of enrollment only, you will get access to weekly group coaching calls with me and get a chance to win a one-on-one coaching session in which I personally review your game. So don't miss out on this limited opportunity. Join the Mechanics LeakBuster program using the link down below, and looking forward to seeing you guys in there. How do you think in general this show element affected the meta? Did it affect your strategy in any way? And did it at some point mess with your mind maybe in any way as well?
No, I loved it. So many times you get, sort of frustrated, but it also makes you like very curious, like when they made the bluff. And I mean, I feel like it should be on every table.
It messed with my mind a lot, because like when like when you see every time you're getting bluffed in some spots where you didn't expect it to, you feel like you own. And even in spots where you expect to be bluffed sometime and you make some hero fold, it still messes with your mind because you it treats it as a defeat. Like you need to relearn how to process those things. So yeah, I think some people in the challenges they were quite fast to put to make like a strong judgments of the players because, for example, they probably saw quite a few bad plays from my side or some no sense bullshit bluffs and this messes with them so they start to readjust the whole strategy in most of the spots and at the same time like I know what I showed up with so I'm readjusting as well so it's like a constant leveling war between each of the players and also it's a very massive pool so it's very hard to keep track of everyone but I did try to just develop basically the sense of how people play and tried in every evening I tried to just scroll and look through showdowns not just analyze them just to make them subconscious like how the guys like what they show and what did I show yeah also just like during the play you can I was sometimes just looking at the HUD and you can easily check showdowns in certain lines. It's a lot of info, and from a lot of showdowns you can kind of make generalizations about how the guy feels or how the guy thinks.
It was the pre-flop adaptation I had to do. I started forwarding almost more favoring all of the bluffs that I needed to do, and even more, because the meta wasn't adapting the first week. I think also Stefan was playing, and I never played against him, and he was in every table. And just because you have him on the table, you have to really be careful with your pre-flop. If you want to play a hand, you got to play that really aggressive. If not, it's better maybe not to play it. So I think meta was also kind of adapting. I think second week or third week, I saw all different adaptations. Maybe the guys were showing bluffing every spot. They were more towards give ups on the river, but also the pre-flop was not as wide as the first week. So I think everyone got a little bit. They just, if they were here, they put one less pressure.
Yeah, it seemed like everyone, the guys that were too much, they were kind of skilling it down. The guys that were too little, they kind of skilled it up. So we all kind of adjusted towards the meta, you know, when week 2, when week 3 was going on. I talked to most people and it was almost like, I would describe it as like the opposite. Like the normal over bluff spots were now sort of getting under bluffed and the normal under bluff spots were getting over bluffed. It was really weird. It was like the opposite world of a normal mid-stakes population, I would say.
Yeah, sure. Also, because you were seeing all the showdowns, you will see, okay, now he's not doing that because I make notes every hand. I was making notes of all the opponents. I have like one worksheet where I was, okay, this guy do this. I think in future situation, he will have the same pattern. So basically, I was seeing my notes and then I was seeing the showdowns and sometimes they were contradicted. So they just changed, they adapted from the following week. So yeah, probably you say aggressive guys were slowing down and tight guys were putting more pressure. So they were finding more the equilibrium, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that my adjustments I started making were just being more aggressive pre-flop and post-flop, not really letting people get away with maybe betting too wide in certain spots or not free betting so wide. I was just trying to punish those things as I saw them. And I think that adding the show element to the game, it definitely made it feel a bit more personal in spots because yeah, like if people were doing something out of line, you see it, and then it's, maybe they're doing an exploit on you, maybe they have a read on you. And I think it also just made it made the games play in a way where people were adapting and adjusting quicker than they otherwise would.
Yeah, I guess especially when you see something more out of line, like you said, for example, if you see something completely ridiculous, you're probably gonna note that, and that could definitely change the meta. Where in normal games, you often can do something ridiculous, but don't see it. I remember, for example, sometimes I made way too wide of an open because I thought the guy was just overfolding. I was like, oh wait, but this is I don't know how many pips too wide. I just felt like go for it. Like fuck, but if I win this hand, he's gonna see it. Maybe I don't know what I could do here.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some crazy things when I was looking back at my hands. I saw, for example, like Venator 5-bet jammed blind v blind with 10-9 suited. And I don't think he'd ever do this on a non-show table. I think he purely thought that there was EV in doing it, because when they fold and they see he's doing it with 10-9 suited, it creates some kind of dynamic there. So yeah, definitely opened up the doors in ways that you don't typically see.
Well, I came in playing my normal strategy, which is a pretty heavy red line based strategy, very aggressive pre-flop, pretty much all nodes post-flop. And then you find out which guys are adjusting hard to that, and you counter adjust. So yeah, I figured out which guys, are going to fight back the most, which guys are going to press the call button the most, and then you try to not really bluff those guys anymore.
Then you flip your strategy. You think that's also where the show element came in really nicely, or you think it hinders like someone with your playing style?
I think it was very helpful for me, for the most part, because as long as you can stay one step ahead, it's to your advantage. You just have to make sure, not to let them catch up.
How do you know when someone has catched up?
Sometimes you actually predict before you even see them adjust. Like I played the pocket fives hand, which was a super crazy hand against I forget his name. I guess we'll see later on. But against this player,
gay for you, right?
What is it?
Was it that one? Too gay for you?
Yeah, too gay for you. I played this fives hand, and I remember immediately writing a note after this hand, like, do not bluff this guy for a long time. And for the rest of the challenge,
especially the more extreme, right? If you show up with a combo, I remember I did the same. When I did something pretty extreme out of line, it got shown. I made a note of that. When it's like something quote regulars, maybe on the aggressive side it's fine, but when you do something that's out of line, that's when people really like, oh wow, oh
right,
wait,
exactly.
So that's what's going on.
The more out of line it is, the bigger the adjustment will be, and that hand was like off the charts out of line. So yeah, I just made a note, like, you need to have it in big pots against this guy going forward, and that's what I did the rest of the challenge, and he sort of seemed to be on range call and for the rest of the time I played in every spot.
You feel like this is part of where you gain a good edge, like with this aggressive style, kind of advertising yourself and then really paying attention to, okay, so these guys are the ones that are now just fed up of me and they're gonna just calm me down, and against those guys I adjust?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's such huge EV when you can just bet 4 or 5 times pot with the nuts and get paid regularly. So being able to set that up early in the challenge, I think, is crucial.
In week 2, antes got added. Were you a fan of the change?
Yeah, in the beginning I was kind of I didn't like that they will do anti, because it's just the format I don't play, and it went well for me. I think I was adapting faster than most of the guys to this change, and I used to play a lot of heads up, and I think it helps to range people down in wider range spots. So I felt like actually it was to my advantage.
Oh, I love ante. Coming from MTTs, I think it's just a way better format of poker. You get to play more hands. There's more in the pot to fight for. More action, and can just play a higher VPIP. It's more fun.
Yeah, it's very funny because, again, I never studied anything with ante in cash. Obviously I played MTT, so it was kind of like playing MTTs, right? But I was kind of thinking like, I wouldn't really like it. I would just like it to be without antis. But then I played it, and it was just so much fun, so much more going on. Like, so yeah, I really enjoyed playing with anti. And I mean, when ranges just gets wider, it just creates such a better environment, so much more room for creative plays, and so much more room for people making mistakes as well. Like, it's so crazy. Like, when you play in a non-anti with high rake environment where under the gun opens 2.5x and you're sitting in the big blind, you have to start folding like king 10 off and shit. It's just like, it's kind of cringe, you know. And here you just qualified for every hand. It was so that was very funny.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played that much, but I think it was kind of good because not many people were used to play with antis, not only myself. So I think if I study that fast and adapt well, I could have an edge on that, because it's not only that I don't know, it's that maybe it's new for most of the opponents. I guess if the opponents that will have more experience with that will have an edge. But because I thought most of the meta and most of the regs haven't played that much with antis, I think it was something that could be an advantage for me if I get to adapt quicker. So yeah, I think most of the guys weren't playing preflop correctly. I saw the preflop charts on Wizard, and that you have to make some not standard call calls on the button or on a small blind. I don't think that many people were doing that. Basically, if you open 2x on the button, you have to call queen 5 suited in the small blind or something like that. So yeah, I think there was some kind of preflop edge in that kind of situations. And if you don't have the preflop correctly, then you're gonna mess up a little bit postflop, because it's like the best of anything. So yeah, I wasn't a fan before because I have no information, but I think I did well in the anti games because I was studying that outside of the tables.
In terms of like adjusting from your normal strategy, like for example, you said, for example, a lot of people normally don't really play cold calls from the small blind. I saw a mixed approach. People would maybe be a bit, let's just call it stubborn, or they try to just kind of ignore almost the ante and stay within their normal game, right? Not flatting from small and not flatting in other positions. A bit wider in the big blind. I think that's an easy adjustment. How far off from your normal game were you willing to go?
I tried to copy what I thought it was the GTO or the best solution possible. But of course, sometimes the solver solution wasn't the best one, because there were people that were also not opening enough. So I have to just try to guess if opponents were adapting to the ante or not, in order me to also defend wider or not. Because if he's not opening on the button, king 7 offsuit, whatever, I cannot defend 4-3 off. Maybe against some other opponents. Yeah, so I was trying to play as I had to do, but also adapting to the players that I was facing. Because as you said, there were players that maybe even were opening wider than they should, and others that were just stuck into the 6 max and no anti games that they are used to.
I mean, personally, I'm not an anti player, so I don't have much experience there. But I do feel like since the vast majority of players there also are not used to the anti format, I felt like there were some areas where you could make pretty big exploits. The biggest thing that I personally thought of, or not the biggest thing, but one of the things I noticed, for example, was the big blind is meant to defend way more of the suited hands pre-flop, even against like early positions with the ante. And so what my assumption with that was that on runouts where a flush gets there, maybe on turn or river, they're gonna end up with a lot of these weaker flushes. And I think my assumption was they weren't going to realize how much of their range is actually these weak flushes. And so on the river, when picking a bet size, what I found was, or what I assumed was, if I use this hyperpolarized all-in sizing, where I'm repping either like a nut flush blocker, or I have maybe king high, ace high flush, I just assume they're not gonna be elastic with their flushes. I just assume they're gonna pure call these. So for example, there, when I felt like players weren't used to their ranges being slightly different, I felt like this was a spot where I could just underbluff fastly and just pile money into value, and it's just gonna work well. For example, there were other more commonly occurring things as well. Even like defending the blind correctly against small open raise sizes, not flatting enough in positions, playing free bet or fold. I just felt like people were not realizing equity with enough hands pre-flop, given that they're having to invest money in every single position. So it created a situation where I think I didn't personally select tables like this, but you could have just found tables where you felt guys weren't actually playing pre-flop correctly in this structure and just VPIP like 40, 50 and get away with it and actually do quite well just by opening wider or realizing equity pre-flop with more hands.
So you mentioned there about like table selecting. That was not part of your strategy at all.
I tried to always be on a table with Stefan. That was the only table selection that I used personally.
You like some action.
Yeah. I mean, I just felt like Stefan was the closest thing to a recreational that I saw. I know there was one of a rec in the field. I didn't even realize he's a rec. I don't play with a hood or anything. I just assumed it's a rec because he was auto topping up. I can't remember his name. He lost like 50 buy-ins in the first week.
It was like second biggest loser, right? Also with quite high volume. I remember if I saw tables, sometimes you had a table with Stefan and him. It was a crazy table because these guys both, they were in the never fold to 3-bet, squeeze 25, 3-bet 25% camp, and they were all completely crazy. So it was like, okay, it seems like a good table to get aces. That was my strategy, guys.
I probably missed out on a lot of EV by not realizing that guy was a recreational and just never, I was never looking for tables with him. I think other guys were. That probably did cost me a bit.
Yeah, obviously it's not as actively table selecting as a normal grind, but for example, what I would do is when the grind started, I would first take a look at, okay, what are the tables? And I would just go one by one and start adding myself to waiting lists where on tables that I thought were better. And then I go with my preparation, and then these tables will pop up, and on average, I have better tables. So, like sometimes I would, for example, sometimes it would be a 6-handed game, and there would be like 3 of the top 10 guys were in there.
Yeah.
But then I looked in the lobby and saw, hey, 3 weaker guys are playing 3-handed. Well, maybe I should play that one 4-handed instead. In general, actually, I tried to find more 3 and 4-handed games because I just like that format more. You get more hands in. And I was definitely also looking what you said. If I knew guys were, for example, mim raising an ante, I love that. So I saw, I can be big blind versus the button. This guy is playing mim raise and is a general weaker player. Oh my God, this is amazing. I'm just going to defend any 2. I'm going to over-realize like massive. I'm going to get a lot of like bluffability post-flop, because I thought that these were kind of passive, weaker players. So definitely, it was definitely part of my strategy, not as actively as normal. But I definitely think just looking around, it definitely gave me an extra couple of BB and win rate for sure.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think my approach was kind of similar then because I always wanted to play like less than 600 because I just felt like they're just bigger there. And also my initial strategy was I fire up 12 tables, and then once I have 12 tables, I just waitlist the others. And if like I have a table where it's guys that I feel like are genuinely very good players or like decent players, then I'm just gonna swap that table out for, like you said, a table with some of the weaker guys or maybe lower on the leaderboard. I would do this type of selection.
How do you think on average the pool adjusted to the antes?
From my perspective, not too well. I think a lot of guys played too tight 3-flop, and they will overdo. Like it's not only on anti-VIX, but non-anti. The people usually overdo with 4-betting a lot when you in a rake-free environment, you have to call in position much more often for 3 bets. And in terms of post-flop strategy, it's hard to tell.
I feel like people got better in the end, but as I just remember in the beginning, I just feel like there was probably a lot of overfolding. So like the small sizing, the small donks. Yeah, that's like mostly what I remember. Just, you could like throw in these like 10, 15% donk bets on the turn and you would just like see snap folds where I would be pretty certain that they would have hands that they should just continue with.
I think the field adapted fairly well. Maybe some regs were a bit too tight on average. Like they don't know that you can, flat queen 5 suited in the small blind versus the button man and stuff like this, like missing the, the sort of borderline hands at first and ante. But I think for the most part, people adapted pretty well. But yeah, it's surprising how much or how loose you can be with no rake and 1 BB ante.
Do you feel like as an MTT player, especially with the antes there, you gain an edge? Obviously, it's a higher average stack size than maybe you put it in most of your volume, but still there's way more multi-way pots, like I said, way more cold call spots than regular raked cash games.
Yeah, definitely. Multi-way is still sort of the Wild West in poker. It's one of the few nodes where freestyling is still very important. And yeah, definitely something that's a huge difference between ante and no ante.
It's a difficult one, right? Because if you've not studied these spots, then it's kind of like, do you really want to start implementing a new strategy that you're not comfortable in, and post-flop it can cost you more than the EV of just not taking the spot to begin with, just by not flying that position. For me personally, I actually felt kind of comfortable just taking these spots. I'm not saying I played them great, but I feel like I did play them like reasonably well, and I just felt like it was the right thing to do in the moment to take some spots like flying the small blind, cold calling behind, especially when I found that I felt like people were 4-betting me a lot, and so I couldn't just 3-bet or fold the small blind, and then if I have like, king 9 suited, king 10 suited against an early position, especially in ante, it's like I didn't want to just fold these hands pre, and so I kind of felt forced to develop flying strategies in these spots.
Yeah, it's indeed an interesting dilemma. Is it okay, I'm going to try to capitalize the V by V-pipping indeed wider? Or, and then the question is, do I play the hand well enough post-flop in order to make this flat plus a V, right? I do think like the extra hands that you get to flat, I see them more as like a bonus, and it's not like you suddenly have to defend 4 deuce offsuit and you get in trouble with shitty hands, right? It's like you said, oh nice, now I can flat 4-6 suited or king 5 suited, stuff like that. Hands that are, still relatively good, right? Especially like speaking from the small blind or on the button. On the button, actually, you could get a little bit more in trouble because it sometimes could get quite wide. How do you think you did on average there? I loved it personally. In general, I like winging it. So if the format allows me to wing it and just, hey, nice, I get to play these hands. Let's see what develops. I feel like I thrive in this.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would lean myself more towards that category as well. I would say that compared to the other players, I'm understudied in maybe like a theory aspect, and I kind of just fall back on like what I logically think is a good play in the spot. So I feel like with this kind of approach, you have more liberty in maybe playing spots that you've not studied and maybe the other guys haven't studied. You'll probably just do a little bit better on average than them. And even if they have studied the spot, I personally found that I could just make it work well enough to where it is worth doing. Yeah.
How did your strategy evolve as the challenge progressed in general? Anything you started or stopped doing more or less of?
Yeah, for me, it kind of, how would I explain it? It's like, so to start with, I was probably playing too weak or too passive in spots. Not as a strategic thing. I probably was just playing too weak or conservative, or maybe too respectful. And then as the challenge progressed, I got a lot more aggressive. And then, like, what I kind of found is, as I got more aggressive, I felt like people would see this because of the show aspect. And then naturally, I'd kind of tune it down a bit. After tuning it down a bit, if I felt like it wasn't needed anymore, like maybe I got some confirmation, I'd go more aggressive again. So for me, it's kind of like, it wasn't a continuous thing where like I just adjusted one way forever or throughout the entire time I was playing. I tried to mix it up, let's say, when I felt like it was appropriate or I had some sort of confirmation on that.
I was constantly changing my strategy. It depended on my mood a lot. Like if I feel like today I kind of want to go bunkers, I would go bunkers and like play overly aggressive for one day. But the next day I kind of want to just relax and chill. I will just go like I open 12 tables and just to play like a decent solid strategy without overthinking it. So I was just basically trying to switch it up every other day. So the people just like it's hard to read someone's strategies if it's always different.
Yeah,
Like
I think it worked, or at least if I can tell you from my perspective, I think I changed your tag and your perception like many times throughout the challenge. First week, second week, I was like, wait. Like in the first week, I made some conclusions, and the second week, I changed my conclusions, and the third week, I changed it again. So yeah, you did a good job in confusing your opposition.
Thank you. Glad to hear that it worked. Yeah, especially third week, I think I played a really, really nitty style because I kind of showed up a lot of like crazy bluffs or some crazy hands. And also I ran well. Like the biggest attribute to my success in the challenge, I got on a hitter and on a hitter at the right moment after like I kind of developed some sort of crazy image. I just got dealt good hands and I widened up my value ranges in many spots. So it's worked out for me as well.
Yeah, I feel like what helped contribute to your image, because I felt like, or I feel like you're a player more that if you just think the situation is right, you just do it regardless of your hand per se. Whereas other guys, you know, who try to play more quote GTO and they just switch a little bit with their frequencies. But with you, I saw a couple hands that were like, oh, wait, if this hand is in there, then what's in there? But later I kind of found out, you know, you just kind of play more the spot when you just feel like the spot is right, or you have a read in your opponent, you're not afraid to go for it. So I feel like that definitely contributes. Like if you see a couple of hands, like, wait, what is this hand doing in here, you know? So then it's very easy to draw big conclusions, and definitely I think that helped you get paid off in the past. I remember throughout the challenge, like I said, at many points I was like, this guy's out of line, and then I was like, or he's actually not. And then, yeah, I went back and forth on it.
Because it's a competition, like you can treat it like an entity, and like every situation is is a unique. Like it will not happen ever again. So I tried to play that way. Also, I pay close, not always, but I try to pay close attention to timings of my opponents. And at Midstakes, people give a lot of information by timing tells, and also like just keeping in the head of what perception of me they have currently, and how that might change. Like if, like for example, I haven't bluffed in a guy like for a while, like I can go for it. Or if he, like I remember that I never showed him like some weird hands, like I can over bluff him or not. Like basically it kind of tried to make my decisions based on history a lot. And if there is no history, you can do whatever.
I try to be careful on the river. I try to pay a lot of attention and you really sort of like think it through when bluffing the river because people did not like folding. So I was thinking a lot about that. And the same thing as like when bluff catching, I try to sort of like very think it through because it was such a different experience than playing normally. And yes, as I said before, like in the middle of the challenge, I really feel like I had a super good feeling whether people were like over bluffing or not. And in the end, for some reason, I just like I had a worse intuition or whatever. I don't know why. It just feel like maybe just because the players were better, right? In the end, so they were probably just playing like better poker, and it was harder for me to figure out, including against you. I remember like in the beginning, I did had a like sort of like good feeling about a lot of the spots, and in the end, I just still fucking crushed by you. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I think we definitely tangled quite a lot. It was a lot of fun. But I think we actually chatted also with one was a flop in the podcast, and he also said in general like people were switching it up week by week. So people were also kind of changing to the meta in different ways, and obviously there's some just card distribution variants in terms of the spots. But I feel like also within the challenge, right? You play every day and. Also, yeah, some weeks you just, you feel it more than other weeks, right? So obviously there's swings in performance there as well. But yeah.
Yeah. What Moments of Love was definitely one of the guys that I could not figure out, like, sort of, like, he was definitely capable of switching up, So, like, for sure there's going to be spots where he played against me where he would never bluff, and I called down thinking he would be bluffing, and vice versa. So, like, yeah, that's definitely a good player.
Yeah, well, I start having data on also most of the players because I was playing, I don't know, 20K hands per week. So yeah, I kind of study some of them. Them is not a big amount of data that you have to study because it has a lot of variance, but you can see the tendencies. So I think my strategy was just trying to distinguish the regs that were ready to battle every hand, that the ones that were maybe more conservative. So overall, my strategy was just to try to change my mind because I have like a big tendency of myself of playing the previous meta that I was playing in my normal cash game. And in any situation, I was like having this mental guide that, okay, this spot is under bluff. And sometimes I was just thinking too much about it. But then I have to really make sure that that spot was under bluff against this opponent. And because the coin poker meta was completely out of line, in my opinion, in most of the cases. So it was just a challenge for myself to just not be able to think what I was just having inside in mind, because I just doing for the last 2 years, but to try to play mostly the opponents and not my hand, because I have to bluff catch quite more than I'm used to. Have to maybe not bluff enough in this situation where they just gonna call any bluff catch against other players. So probably have less aggression in some spots, bluff catch more in every situation, which is something I do opposite in my actual cash games. I tend to be more aggressive and a little bit more further than in the challenge.
Yeah, I think on average that's going to be the right adjustment for the normal grind. And like I said, it was almost like it's the opposite world. I think what also contributes, obviously, a challenge like this, you already kind of filter out like the real core bum hunters, right? And then also on top of that, you probably noticed this yourself as well. Let's say you have a normal grind and you play on multiple sides, you're looking for tables, you're partly distracted. Now it's just like you open your tables and all you focus on is play well. So you have also more attention to the tables that you're actually playing. So I think it was mainly those two, the fact that you already filtered out the players, and the players that do play, they give it their all, right? And I think also the competition kind of raises your necessity to focus and raises your necessity to think creatively. So I think that's what made these games definitely tougher than than your average grind.
Yeah. Also, there weren't any like weak players. Like day by day, if you play any 1K or 500 NL in any site, there will be some guys who are not that good and that will be just from hunting or whatever, and they will just win because any recreational. In coin poker challenge games, I didn't find any guy who were him is making big mistakes. I think most of the guys were also kind of good because they joined the challenge, and by joining the challenge, you're just saying, okay, I want to compete, I want to try to do my best, and they were showing almost every day, so they had to be good. Otherwise, if you just play 100k hands on these games and you're not good enough, you're just gonna lose a lot of money.
Do you think on average the level of play or the average level of a table was improving as the weeks progressed? Do you feel like maybe like some guys took a shot in the beginning and maybe some of the weaker recs, they kind of already filtered out? Do you felt week 4 the games were tougher than week 1?
Yeah, because the ones that were still playing probably were the best ones. So I would say yes. But also because I think there were a lot of medium stake grinders who just take a shot of, let's say, 5-10 buy-ins. And maybe they weren't the best in the pool and they just lost and they quit. So I think the level was higher because the ones that were still playing probably were running hot, which also brings you a little bit of kind of an edge because when you're running good, you're playing better. Sometimes you make good decisions. You have a good state of mind, and also because they were also kind of the best players, I would say. So yeah, I think the level in the weeks 3 or 4 was quite higher.
So next time around, put more volume in week 1. A little tip for the audience.
Sure, but week 1 was kind of a jungle. Like
like no one kind of
trying to find who's doing what. Like this, I remember speaking with my friends. Like this is crazy. Like I don't know how to play because I'm folding, and every time they show a bluff, I'm bluffing every time they call. Or well, like it's kind of funny, but it was kind of trying to adapt to a new meta.
If you're looking to level up your poker game, let me tell you about GTO Wizard. It's got everything you need in order to improve as a poker player, whether you're just starting out or already crushing it. You got tools like a hand history analyzer, a GTO trainer, and even custom drills to help you sharpen up your skills and make smarter plays. It's what so many of the guests we have had on are using in order to dominate cash games and tournaments. Get started for free and get 10% off your first purchase using the link down below, gtowizard.com/mechanics. If you sign up, you also get access to the weekly coaching webinars where you can learn from me and other great coaches. So looking forward on educating you guys over there.
Yeah, with mostly pros in the field, how did you handle the increase in competition? What effect did this have on you?
In terms of a reg to rec ratio, it was definitely like more different than what I'm used to. I had a period where I did do some reg battling on ACR. I was playing like 1 to 3k now for a month there. That was, I would say, pretty tough as well. So I had some experience with it, but the main difference for me, I felt, was that it felt more exhausting in a way to play, or it took more mental energy and focus to keep up with the games because it just felt like I was in more marginal spots, like significantly more marginal spots than I'm used to, and without any sort of pause where you just have a spot against a recreational where all your decisions are probably winning a lot, or it's like very clear decisions either way.
It was definitely super fun just to battle in a pool that, you know, didn't have too many recreational players at all. Because for me, that's the most fun part of poker, you know, is you're trying your hardest, someone else is working very hard on their game, trying their hardest, and it's a battle. It's a lot more fun than, for me at least, than just playing, you know, some cash game and some drunk guy is giving it away. You know, calling 3-bets with 7-3 suited or something. So yeah, that part definitely brought out my competitiveness.
I didn't enjoy it more because like now at such field you can't rely on the money coming from recreationals, so like it makes your brain to focus more and pay much more attention to what's going on at the tables. I think it's the bigger difference. But I wouldn't I would say that there was quite a healthy amount of recreationals playing during the challenge. I think that because it was basically like 24/7, like maybe sometimes 20, 30 tables in the beginning, like so active lobby. I think it's very attractive for the recreationals, and it's been more of them during the challenge than on the other days. Because like after the challenge, I still keep playing, but it's like I think the games are worse than during the challenge, actually.
You mentioned you were tough mentally before the challenge from your S&E background and playing some higher stakes. How do you feel like this set you up well for the challenge?
I think whoever leads like in the first week or two, they will not win this thing. Like I had this belief like at some point like something happens and they will break or something like this. And for me, I mean, the stakes is not too high, so it doesn't matter like what happens, like it doesn't affect me. Yeah, I think just the experience of playing higher makes you treat it more like a kind of play money game, I would say. Not like play money because it's like I've been playing Midstakes for the last 2 years, but I'm kind of overall for it, so I don't really care about the monetary aspect, and the swings at Midstakes don't affect me.
How did you set up your routine during the challenge? What was your approach to your schedule? How much were you playing volume-wise in terms of hours? What was your studying looking like? Maybe walk us through like a day in the challenge.
I basically do like a schedule of myself of the journey I will do the previous day. So in fact, I use like ChatGPT to make me a calendar of myself. So I basically have 3 or 2 sessions in the day between 2 hours or 3 hours, if there were 3. I also did the sports every day. So one day that I will do in the challenge of myself will be waking up between 7, 9 a.m. in the morning, trying to do like 1 hour breakfast, and if Estonian time is good, which is not very good, I will do a walk if the sun was rising or whatever, to just wake up and have this good energy. Then I will start studying like for 1 hour, review probably the hands that I play in the last day, hands that I have that I noted, that I have standouts, probably some theory doubts, or probably just some notes that I wanted to put into my opponents to just also have this in my brain. So I can, if I see the note in the morning, maybe when I play with him in 2 or 3 hours, I will remember that, okay, this guy did that in that previously showdown. And then in the morning, I will do 1 session between 2 or 3 hours. Then I will always do a sport, going to the gym, doing tennis, or if I had some football matches, because I play like in a league here in Estonia. Then I will eat, probably rest a little bit, another session. Before that session, I will also review some of the hands that I play in the morning session, but not for too much time. Then I will rest. I will always take a walk for 1 hour, probably call my family, which I miss a lot, or talk with a friend. And then after that, I will have my last session, which it was the toughest one because I will feel really, really tired. But of course, if I had this excitement, this pressure of myself that I just had to win, I will do it. It was kind of more of a, like I felt poker more as a job in that month than any other time that I've been on my poker career, because I feel like sometimes I don't work because I know what I do. But in that month, it was like something set up.
In the challenge, I try to not have these like very long grind where I just sit and do nothing, just then grind and play and drink coffee, and because I didn't want to get into that sort of mindset where I started piloting and wasn't, focusing. So I try to take a lot of breaks and go for walks, and I do a lot of sauna. That really helps a lot. It almost like it resets the day. So if I sort of have a bad day or being in a bad mindset, I could go to sauna and come back, and it's sort of the day was reset. So yeah, working out, doing sauna, and going for walks, trying to eat healthy, trying to drink a lot of water.
And my approach to it was I would just play until I felt tired or I needed to eat or sleep, and then not take that much time off, to be honest. I was just playing a lot, and then I wasn't routine. And when I would wake up and sleep, I just slept when I was tired and woke up whenever. So I wasn't disciplined in this regard, and it led to me playing like different time zones. So there's some different player pools I ended up playing.
So I put quite a few hours to craft a schedule for the challenge, and also like talked to my wife how important this thing is, so she basically like took care of our kids for during the whole month, which is hard to do with two little ones, especially during the weekends. So thanks to her, I was able to structure the day how I did want my day. Basically, it was like the same day every day. I wake up around like 4:30 during the challenge, do my morning routine, like nothing special, just a quick exercise session, running, and maybe some light lifting session in the morning. I like to do cold shower and stuff, like meditation, just quickly to do all these things. In the beginning, I did like 3-hour session, break for lunch, and then another 3-hour session. But later on, I just most of the days I just played for 6, 7, 8 hours straight. It depends. Every day I finished with a sauna and a 1-hour walk with my kids, like to pick up my oldest one from daycare with little one. So then just went to bed like around 8, 9, wake up, repeat.
I would mainly play from like 5 or 6 p.m. until midnight, 1 a.m. I was in Eastern time. I felt like that's when games were best, and that's where I felt my sharpest. So I would wake up, go about my day, go to the gym, whatever, and then start playing from there.
What was the most challenging period of the challenge for you? Was there any moments where it got a little bit tough, or you maybe weren't feeling on top of your game?
My lowest point in challenge was definitely when I was leading. So I was leading, and then I was out drinking with my friends. I think it was Friday night. Then I completely fucked up my sleep schedule. So I went to bed like 4 a.m. Then I fucked up my sleep schedule. Then I couldn't sleep the night after. So I kept playing. And that day, I think I lost like 10 buy-ins or something, maybe even more. So I just that was definitely the lowest point, because I just did the exact opposite of what I've been doing the entire challenge, and that just punished me instantly. So that was, Also, when I was leading the challenge, I started getting these expectations, because before the challenge, I didn't have any expectations about winning. So when I was leading, I was like, oh, I could actually win this.
How would you reset yourself after that? So you've got this kind of adrenaline rush, a bit of expectations because you're in the leads. Then you have this night out and can't sleep for a few days, lose 10 buy-ins. And then you got to pick up the pieces and get back to it, back to normality. So how did you pick up your normal routine from that moment?
Just don't drink coffee, go to the gym, do sauna, just try to get back to that. I did realize this is not working. So I just have to just try and do anything, just like use a lot of energy so I could get back to like the normal sleep schedule again. That is so much, good quality sleep just has so much to do with how you can perform, right?
There were moments where Stefan got the best of me. We had a very interesting dynamic. I remember the first day I played with him, he was playing like 3 or 4 different open sizings, and all of his strong hands were in the 3.5x. So I felt I felt really dialed into his tendencies then. There was one hand where he opened the button to 3.5x, and my read was so strong that I had aces in the big blind and just jammed for 100 BB, and he snap called with tens. So at that moment, I was like, "Wow, I'm really locked in against this guy. You know, I know exactly what he's doing." But then as the challenge went on, he changed things up a bit and sort of got one step ahead of me in a few hands, which is why I played a crazy hand against him with ace-9 suited that was in a coin poker video where I like 5-bet called off 200 BB against him with ace-9 suited or something crazy. So yeah, Stefan, he gave me troubles at times.
2 weeks into the challenge, like I actually had some good spots outside of the championship that I needed to take, and I had a really, really big month last month outside of the championship. And so it kind of took away a bit of the drive to keep grinding. And then also I was feeling very exhausted from the championship. I wasn't really doing anything outside of the championship other than if I was on a break, I would just be like watching videos on YouTube or something. It's not like I was doing things I enjoy. So the quality of life for me during the week and a half, 2 weeks I played wasn't great. And so I think it was a combination of wanting to prioritize the spots outside of the championship, feeling drained, and like I wasn't having a good life balance at that time, like my sleep schedule being really bad. Yeah, I think these things combined just made me want to step away from the championship.
How hard was it to remove yourself and not go after that leaderboard? I know you said when you first started, it was more intrigue to play against the certain players. And then as you got into it, I'm sure maybe competition kicked in. How hard was it to make that decision to, for lifestyle reasons and overall enjoyment, to not push harder for the leaderboard?
Yeah, honestly, it was actually very difficult because I get quite addicted to these things. And so I found myself like checking the leaderboard even when I wasn't playing. I'd have the lobby open and I'd have to be distracting myself to not get back in and play. But yeah, I struggled with it definitely. But I also don't feel like it was necessarily a mistake. The issue for me was I kind of said to myself, if I'm gonna, put all this time into the championship, for me it would only feel worth it if I am playing to win it, or at least top 2, top 3. And so it did hurt a bit to step away from that. Definitely, kind of took away like the purpose of the championship for me.
Do you feel like you still could have won it at that moment? You were deciding to step away. You said to make it worth it, like top 1 or 2. What was going to be needed from that moment to get to one of those top 2 positions? Was it higher volume? What do you feel like you would have needed to do?
I didn't feel like higher volume. I just felt like I'd have to like maintain the pace I was going. I don't like know for sure if I would have won it. I feel like I would have had a good chance though. I felt like I was pretty comfortable in the lineups I was playing, and I actually felt more comfortable as the championship went on. Like I just found that my assumptions were getting more precise, I would say. So for me, I think it was just like, if I kept going at the pace I was going, I probably would have landed somewhere good. I can't say for sure where that would be. I think it would have been possible that I could have won it, or at least top 3'd.
Are you someone who was a bit of a lone wolf, or did you have a group of friends doing the challenge, or people you were studying with throughout the event?
I would say I'm a lone wolf. I don't study poker. I used to have a buddy whom we grew up throughout the poker. Like, I still have him, but he quit playing online poker 4 years ago, so we don't study together. So the last 4 years I was on my own, basically.
No, completely lone wolf. I don't think, I was on the stream and we just talked a little bit on hands, but like in general, just alone. I've been doing that like with cash. I haven't really been studying with anything when I've been playing cash. Most of my poker friends is MTT friends.
Yeah, I came into the championship a lone wolf. I did initially plan on playing it with a friend of mine. We were gonna study to prepare for the championship, and we just never ended up doing it. He didn't end up playing either in the championship.
There were like 5 or 6 Spaniards that competed in the challenge, and 2 of them were really close to me. One of them is my study partner from the last probably 6 months. I met him in past December, and he went to live in Estonia this year because I told him. And the other guy was also in Estonia living here, and I met him from last year. So we basically were not studying together that much during the challenge because some of them will have different hours of playing. For example, they were playing more towards the night, and I would like to play in the morning because I think my mind was better in the morning. But we were sharing some showdowns, sharing some thoughts about any opponents or some hands. We have like WhatsApp group or whatever. But we did not study that much during the challenge because we didn't have too much time. Like if I had to review my hands and play 6 hours and then study, I would just kill myself. It was really, really hard.
The guys who I talk strategy with are much better cash players than me. So, anytime I'm trying to get better at something, I want to go to people who are at a much higher level than me. So I was super fortunate to get their input, from guys who are playing ACR 3K, 5K regularly. So yeah, that was huge.
How do you personally handle making mistakes during a challenge like this? Did they throw you off? Are you someone who can reset from those quickly?
Yeah, like I definitely made some puns, like that's for sure, because I was trying to take lines that I just knew were kind of getting out there a lot. And then when it goes wrong, it feels a lot worse than if you're just playing a safe strategy where, like you might find a bluff, which is like, it's kind of like very fine, but it might not be good against this guy. But since it's very fine, you just feel okay about it. Whereas if you actually try and take a strong deviation and it's wrong, it feels pretty horrible because it's just a pun, right? For me, I guess one aspect of it was if I did do something like this and it gets shown, it feels okay if I can kind of manipulate that to claw back some EV in a similar spot later on. Other than that, like, I would say if I genuinely felt like I made a big blunder or a big mistake, the only thing I could really do is just think about where my assumptions went wrong or if they even were wrong in the hand, and like think about how I could avoid doing the same thing next time, or like avoid taking the path that led me to making that mistake the next time around.
Well, if it's just one-off, or a few small mistakes, I'm able to kind of flush it pretty quickly and not really ruminate on it. But, if I'm making several really big mistakes, in a short period of time, sometimes I'll just end my session because, regardless of how hard I try to compartmentalize, I feel like it's best to just, wait till the next day to play and play A game rather than, trying to fight it so hard and risk just playing C or D game for no reason.
Well, of course, everyone gets like kind of tilted a little bit in the middle of the session if you make a mistake. But because I played too much hands, I think at the end of the day, it wasn't affecting me that much. But I had to confess that making a mistake in the challenge was like a big punch to me because it wasn't only the mistake, but also I knew that I was going down in the leaderboard, and it was kind of like I was being really result oriented every day. Okay, because I not only made a mistake, but also now I'm far from what was a flop 45 that was winning. So it was really hard to me to know if this was a mistake or not, to distinguish the reality from the one that I created on my mind that I have to win every day in order to become the winner of the challenge. So yeah, I think I was kind of dealing not really well with mistakes than I do normally in a normal session, because I know it was for every mistake that I made, the goal of becoming the winner was farther. So yeah, I think it was kind of tough to lose. I think mentally it was probably one of the most important things I should have done better. Like not punishing myself for just losing and just focusing on the on the strategy that I have to do and that I know that I can do better. But of course, we were also talking with our friends. How did you do yesterday? Did you win? And to be honest, it doesn't matter. Like, you can be playing really good and lose, and you can be playing bad and won 5 buy-ins. But I was being so result-oriented, and that's why I think my mistakes I was suffering with my mistakes more than I should.
Yeah, I felt embarrassed quite a few times during the challenge with my plays. Like, sometimes it's just because like when you play 12 tables and it's like 5th hour of the session and you have like 2 big decisions and you just click something and then realize but like it's whatever, just keep grinding. And also like I learned to treat those like punts like an investment in the image. So, okay, like I did the stupid thing. Now, like, the more people see this, the more people like think that I'm like a bad reg or stupid or something like this, which is like would pay.
So for you, what do you feel like was the biggest contributor to your success in the challenge overall? There's a lot of factors we've talked about, but if you could pinpoint the biggest ones, what do you feel like they are?
When I'm playing my best, I'm very interested in the hand. When I make a decision, like my mind instantly goes to, is it better to donk, it's better to check, it's better to check raise here. Like when I also pilot it, it's more like just he bets, like I'm just already thinking, okay, I call. And then I'm thinking on the turn, wait, on the flop, I wasn't even thinking about check raising. Why were I not even thinking about check raising? So, and I'm also like, when I'm playing great, I'm screenshotting and tagging way more hands that I play because I'm way more interested in the hand. So I know if I have a session, I haven't screenshot any hands, it's because I haven't been playing my best, right? Because I haven't really been interested in the hands.
I guess I've always never really had a fear of doing something stupid in poker. Like, you know, some people are restrained by like, what if this isn't a thing, or what if that's not a thing? Like, always I've been unchained by that. So I think that's helpful because you can trust your gut a lot more in spots and just, you know, fold your whole range or call your whole range and bluff your whole range and not really worry too much about, you know, looking stupid or being exploited or whatever. And I think that's when I've played my best, is when I'm in that sort of mindset.
The biggest contributing factor, probably just my adaptability, I would say. Just being willing to take adjustments that I think have a big payoff that other people weren't finding. I think this is just where my biggest edge was.
First is belief and motivation. Second is routine. Third is ability to maintain focus and attention. And on the last is my poker skills.
So for you, how did the leaderboard affect your mindset throughout the challenge? Did it have a positive effect? Was there any times where the leaderboard was there a negative impact, maybe checking it too much, especially when you got to the top?
I think the leaderboard was definitely a net positive for me. Because, you know, even when, you know, I started down the first couple of days being down like 6-7K, and when then I got to like 10K, it was kind of like I really, like my BB per 100 was like crazy high at that point, right? And I was like, oh, the first couple of days I feel like didn't count it for me because I haven't studied. Now I'm studying and now I'm really paying attention and I'm like crushing up, and I just see like, I just keep doing this and it just goes. But I feel like if there was no leaderboard, I might have been not as encouraged to like keep doing the same thing. So the leaderboard was great for me.
Definitely not positive. I've always been super competitive, so having a leaderboard to check every day was a huge motivator. For me in MTTs, there used to be like a pocket fives ranking for MTT players. I think it ended in 2024 or something, but that was like a giant motivator for me, and finally getting to number 1 on that was like such a huge achievement. It really motivated me every day to just keep grinding, keep trying to improve, because it's something tangible you can look at.
Overall, it's a negative impact because every morning when I woke up, and sometimes I started off by checking leaderboard, checking Discord, and it's just bad for your mind. It's a distraction. and that in like first 2 weeks at least, maybe on 3 weeks, like 2.5, it's not really relevant. You can't gain anything from it, so it's just a distraction from your brain, which ruins your focus a little bit, I would say. But later on, it's need to pay attention to it, because I was in a position where I happened to have a huge lead, and at some point I needed to decide if I should play more or not. And I decided, because the lead was huge, I decided to take a day or two off and see what happens. And during those days, I was just railing the games, and I was quite surprised that people didn't push it. Like, they did the same thing they basically did every other day. They played their normal. They didn't increase the volume. They didn't increase the amount of tables, because like if you are going for a first place, you kind of have to take a chance. And like, for example, some guys we've been playing 5 tables, but it would be hard to catch up on those amounts, so I think they needed to take some risks, and I didn't see anyone doing it, so I was quite, whatever, I will keep looking. But at some point, when director was catching up, I was railing a session, and I saw like he was on a crazy like upswing, so I decided to jump in and to play and to increase my, basically like make a stop win of 4 buy-ins and then reassess. So I did this at some point, but overall this experience of not playing the last week really sucked, and I didn't enjoy it at all. Now I would rather just keep playing and whatever, because in the end, like, I realized like it doesn't really matter if you take the first place if you are happy with the amount of work and effort you put into it. So, but like, wouldn't lie, I still wanted to win the trophy badly. So also I thought that it's on the other guy's side to push me to play. Like, they have to catch up, and they basically like didn't put a necessary amount of work for it. So I decided to whatever.
I'd say it's a double-edged sword. I think it was necessary to make the championship what it was. I feel like without it, it wouldn't have really been the competitive, environment that was made through the leaderboard. So I would say that it was a net positive. The only real drawbacks were, I guess, constantly wondering where I was going to land on the leaderboard the next day, maybe, or putting in too many hours, let's say, and overexerting myself, just chasing the leaderboard spots. But I'd say it was overall a good thing, definitely.
Do you think it made you more result-oriented? Is that, for example, that was a problem that I had, especially when I started to move up the leaderboard. Like, in the beginning, I wasn't really paying too much attention to it. Also because I started straight away down. I was like, okay, it wasn't really something that was in my mind. But then at some point, I started to gain some heat. I went on like a 30-40 buy-in upswing. And I was like, oh, wait, now I'm actually quite high in the leaderboard. So then I actually started caring and started to notice that I started to play way more result-oriented, like playing to win. Like, I was very, very focused on, okay, I need to win, instead of just, enjoying the process, letting it flow, focus on the strategy.
I mean, for me personally, I'm pretty sure that Coin Poker support hates me because I was messaging them every like 20 minutes for my hands so I could import them and check. I've always been a very results-oriented player, to be honest. I always have been. And I understand the drawbacks of that. Like, you kind of hinted at maybe fighting for pots where you shouldn't, let's say, or over-adjusting in spots where it's actually not the right thing to do. But I personally don't really view being results-oriented as that bad of a thing. I actually think it's fine.
So it doesn't influence your strategy in a negative way, because for example, I would actually have the opposite. I would just be less curious. I would just want to flop a set and try to and get a stack. That's
Okay.
basically what then starts to happen. I stop becoming less curious. I start to fight less for pots. I just want to get a good hand and make money.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess my um experience of it was kind of different in the sense of I think for me being results oriented was just like a very quick feedback loop that can often be inaccurate because there's so much variance, which is obviously the downside, but I feel like it also opens up options for me at least to maybe find adjustments quicker than I otherwise would if I just like followed a process that I came in beforehand with.
If you want to focus more while playing, let me tell you guys about Brain FM. This is actually something I stumbled on prior to the World Championship, and it's been what I've been listening to for hours and hours straight while playing. It's music specifically designed to help you focus. Personally, I have ADHD. They have a special function where they play sound that interacts very well with your brainwaves, helping you to focus. And it's been something that I've been listening to and using for doing work or playing poker, and it has definitely changed my focus and helped my game. So I wanted to inform you guys on this opportunity. Link down below, 1 free month trial, and yeah, let me know how you like it.
Actually, a guy, like a reg, Nimrod, he sent me a YouTube video of some, it's called like 3 p.m. study with me, where it's like rain sounds and thing. And he said he got it from you. I've been doing it a lot ever since, and it has helped a lot for me as well. It really can get you in the zone. And also this thing, yeah, like I put it on and I just know for the next 3 hours, I'm locked in. Like I know now, and that's like 3 hours is kind of like a nice time, you know, where you just know like now it's time to go.
So what were the final days of the challenge like for you? Were you fighting for a top spot? Were you chasing or just grinding it out at the end? And how did this influence your approach?
Yeah, the last week I think I was pretty far behind. So I was already sort of like thinking, okay, I can't win this. And I was also going on vacation with my girlfriend. So the last week I wasn't playing that much. I was playing a little bit. Still just because, you know, for the sake of the challenge, it has been a lot of fun. So I was playing a little bit from vacation, only like a couple of hours per day.
Well, I think it was on the last day of the week 3, something like that, that I was top 3, top 2. And I had this really good session where I felt the leaderboard hasn't been updated yet, but I thought I was first. And I think I didn't manage that really well. I was feeling a lot of pressure, which it was like something new for me. The next session I play horrible. I tried to win every pot. I put a lot of variance in my game, and I wasn't knowing why. So yeah, I think I didn't manage well my mental state because I felt the pressure. Okay, maybe I can win because during the challenge I was always far beyond the first one in the challenge, but I think it was between the second and third week which I managed to win a lot of EV, and there was one session I think I won 15 buy-ins on EV, and then in the next session I lost 20 because I was completely out of control. I think I didn't manage to just. Also, I think that day I want to rest. I felt my body was so tired, and I remember my friends told me, "Okay, let's go out for some dinner." And then I saw the tables. I thought they were like good, and I ended up playing. And yeah, I have this. Remember, I don't know how many buy-ins I lost, but yeah, really worst session of the challenge. So I felt really bad of myself, like what I'm doing. And then in the 4th week, I also was trying to win, which was basically really, really hard because Wowens of Law had a difference between the rest of like 20 buy-ins or more. he was running really hot and was doing pretty well. Also, he wasn't playing for the last 4 days. So yeah, I try to play in a completely different way that I'm used to, trying to just stack me off lighter to try to make something crazy happen, like try to force the spot, and then it finished up wearing really bad. Like it went the opposite. Like I thought by putting more variance in the game, I had the opportunity to win more and maybe fight for the top, well, to be the first one. But then I ended up losing a lot. And then, as Adam said, in the day 27 or 28, I just quit the challenge because I was so exhausted and also mentally blocked. Like, because I was feeling really bad when I was playing bad. Like, it was like this kind of thinking you have on yourself when you make a mistake and you said, what I'm doing. Like, or maybe they just didn't call me, but why I'm blasting this, or this kind of thinking. So yeah, I think I was being very result oriented also.
If you look at the field, what were some common mistakes you see players make, and what do you think separated the better regs from the medium and weaker regs?
Well, I think the biggest general leaks are sort of the same human leaks you'll see in any game of poker where, you know, checking ranges aren't as protected as they should be. Ranges that are, or betting ranges in smaller sizes are not as protected as they should be. Flatting ranges pre-flop aren't as protected. So just sort of the same general leaks you'll see anywhere. These guys weren't, you know, that consistent with their timings in a lot of spots, I thought, which is something that I've been trying to pay a lot closer attention to recently. But yeah, I think overall, you know, post-flop, the cash guys are much sharper than MTT guys, in my opinion, and you know, 100 BB at least.
Actually, I find this question quite difficult to answer for some reason. I felt like the best regs were just... Okay, I know the people that I didn't like playing against, it felt like they were able to play in a way where it's like I didn't have much room to fight back against them. Maybe they were just like playing solid, finding the raises in spots where you really don't want to face a raise. Maybe it was just you know, 4-betting me a lot, like finding nice river bluffs, and then I have to find some uncomfortable calls against them. I think these guys were the ones that I least enjoyed playing against, or I struggled the most against. And so I guess in the opposite of that would just be the guys that I didn't really feel like were putting me in uncomfortable spots, or you just have an assumption where it's hard to find bluffs for them in this spot, and indeed they weren't finding bluffs in these spots, so you don't even have to have a difficult decision in a lot of areas, and they just let you get away with playing your own strategy without actually doing things to make it hard for you to fight back against. I would say these are the things that made, for me at least, people easier to play against, and then yeah, harder to play against as well.
Well, the last question, I have no clue because I'm not a high-stake crusher and I don't know how they play. I still feel, that in some particular spots, I just don't know what to do. And I think really good players or high-stake crushers won't have this kind of problem because they have more experience or because they just have studied that. Good players have a structure in their game and they have a plan when they play. So it starts by the pre-flop plan, but also when they're playing on the flop in any street, they know what will do in a specific turn, in a specific river, because or either they have already studied that or they are thinking about, okay, if the turn brings a flush draw, I will play this size and I will play this range. Players that don't think this way, that they lose all the time back because they have to think in game about this strategy because they either haven't studied or they are not quite sure, will have more problems.
I guess like one mistake is like you can go 2x pot, and you often get called more than if you go P66 or something. So like giving that, so I feel like the mid-stakes guys in certain areas are just gonna be more humans, and the high-stakes guys you just cannot take the piss of them. They will just, and they will just also in general just be more accurate and just fuck you up more because you're doing stuff yourself wrong. So I guess like the difference is just they will take advantages of when they see your mistakes, and the weaker guys will just be sort of like playing their own game and sort of being more human.
I think in the questionnaire you also mentioned something about the fact that people kind of pick sizings for their hands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The custom sizing thing is like, if I would really trust my intuition a lot, it was like you can almost like predict, like you can say like, oh, there's 3 hands that go this sizing, and then there's a bunch of other hands that go this sizing. So it could be just like from like the 4-bit sizing sometimes, right? At like maybe like a little bit different sizing, and it can be like the C-bit sizing, and sometimes they will be C-betting 20%. Sometimes they will be C-betting 33%, and it's just like I don't always just like fully try to like go crazy, but it's like I can say when we get to showdown, oh, he picked this and he did that, so now I kind of like know he has exactly that. Sometimes you can't do anything about it because they won't fold, but it's like that can actually be the most frustrating thing. Like you know exactly what they have, but they can't fold. So it's like you can't do anything. You have to fold anyway.
Now that the challenge is over and you're back to your regular grind, how different was playing the challenge compared to your normal grind, and what do you miss the most about it?
Well, in the first days of July, I just took like a few days off. I was like completely exhausted. But yeah, it was kind of tough at the beginning. I was, if I said before, when I started the challenge, I have these previously mental thoughts of my experience in my previous game. When I start playing back again my current games, now I had these thoughts on my mind of the challenge. So yeah, there are bluffs here. And so I have to try to make also the readaptation to my regular tables. So I think at the first days I made a lot of mistakes because of that. Yeah, also not seeing the showdowns is quite different. You were winning a lot of information from that, and now I don't have that information. So it was tough, but of course I know the opponents I play every day, so I can also have extra information just about their data or the statistics.
I missed that. I missed the no rake. That's the biggest thing for sure. I immediately went back to GG and paid like $40,000 in rake in a month. That was fun. Shout out to GG Poker, I guess. Yeah, the no rake was definitely the best thing about the challenge. And then after that, the thing I miss as well is the being forced to show your hand non-showdown. I definitely miss those two things a lot. If I could choose, I would just always play in an environment where you have to show your hand non-showdown. I think it's more fun, and I just think, I mean, to be fair, it does benefit me more, I guess. That's probably why I want it as well. Yeah, it's kind of annoying going back to playing in games where you do have to make pre-flop considerations because of rake, and then also, like, if you have a feeling if I had a feeling about a spot, I don't get that immediate confirmation that I did get during the championship.
If the event started again, what would you do differently?
Okay, I won't participate next week. I will need, I think, at least 1 month more for taking a rest. But yeah, I take a little bit of rest during my win. Take it more as something that I have to feel happy about it, not as a job. So it's like a challenge. You have to, of course, work hard, but I have to enjoy. So I think I will just put like a goal of myself to, if I'm not enjoying playing, I will just quit and maybe get some drinks with some friends, because life is not only about poker.
Yeah, I would change my morning routine and eliminate phone and checking Discord, because like once you check Leaderboard, Discord, it leads to checking some other social media stuff, and like I could just play maybe like 40 minutes more or something, and be more focused during this time. I would eliminate those completely.
Probably studying more before the challenge, so I'll come in sharp. But other than that, probably just like sort of like do what I did most of the challenge, just play low table count, try to focus on every hand and try to perform as best as possible. For me, I cannot perform if I play bunch of tables, even though I do it sometimes. I cannot perform at like complete A game. And in this challenge, I feel like if you want to win, you just have to sort of like play like your A game to win.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I feel like if I looked at the winner, for example, one was a flop. One thing that I think he did very well when we asked him this, he just said, basically, he was already starting like 2 weeks before, and he was like, I'm going to win this challenge. Like straight away from the beginning, you know, that high belief, and just he made a plan, said it the whole day. Okay, so how am I going to approach this? You know, we was very deliberate. Whereas you and me, we kind of, you know, in the first week, we jumped into it a little bit, and it was like, well, you know, why not give this a shot? But then you're already kind of 1 week behind, right? Compared to, for example, someone like One Was a Flop, who kind of already planned it out, who already kind of envisioned it, and already kind of knew, okay, I'm gonna win. This is what I'm gonna do, day to day. He said that he approached it like fighter camp. He said, I have 30 days. It's fight camp. You know, this is my schedule, and I'm gonna do it every day, and that's what he did every day.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because when he was, I think he was like top 6 or top 7 maybe. I remember telling my friends, I think this guy, he's gonna be like the guys I'm getting in trouble with. Like he's gonna win probably. Like I said that when he was like, I just had this like sort of feeling like he was playing so much and he was playing well, and he was the guy capable of like you couldn't really like figure him out. So I was just thinking like, there's like this guy I'm gonna be like having trouble with. Also, I found out he was Russian, and that definitely changed something for me. I thought he was Swedish in the beginning, and when I found out he was Russian, I just, for some reason, because they have some different crazy mentality, I was just like, yeah, this guy I'm gonna get troubles with.
Well, if I were seriously trying to win, I would want to put in a few weeks of dedicated study just for cash ahead of time, just to sharpen up theoretically, and yeah, just play the whole challenge instead of just half or 2/3 or whatever I played. So yeah, those would be the two biggest.
I think I would just have more confidence in my own approach and not like, because at the start I was definitely doubting, like I had a lot of doubts about how I was playing spots. Now I guess I would just play with a bit more confidence, and as an added thing, I think that I would pay more attention to trying to kind of manipulate people's image of me, but more consciously and strategically. I think that would be quite an interesting thing to do, and just try and create exploits through that.
Closing it off on a more personal note, what did this challenge teach you about yourself?
It taught me that I guess in cash I can still compete at a decently high level. Like I said, I don't rate myself that highly as a cash player, but I think like if there were another mid-stakes challenge that with some study I could compete for first potentially, and my background as an MTT player doesn't necessarily limit me from learning or improving at other formats.
I think I made a lot of mistakes during the challenge, not only theoretical mistakes that I learned, but also I think I know myself better, because I know where are my limits, what things will lead me to a mistake in a what the states of mind that I have in playing can be bad for me, and that can lead to playing bad. So yeah, I think I not only improve as a player, but also I would say as a person or as a professional poker player in a mental way. I think my mental game has improved a lot. So I think that's what this challenge taught me, because being so result oriented is really hard. So yeah, having the opportunity to compete to really good players, but also to be able to enjoy the competition is something that I didn't do in the challenge, but that I think now I can do, because I know how I'm gonna react to a bad day or to a bad session because I just ran bad or I made some mistakes. I think now I'm dealing better towards bad sessions or towards bad results when my play probably is almost the same every day.
That if I really want something, I can do it, and I'm not kept as I thought I was. But it's not because like I want this. It plays a role, of course, but it's I was kind of reflecting on it a lot, like during the last week, like when I was just railing the games, that like I'm actually just happy that I did a good job, because usually I kind of blame myself that I'm lazy, not hard worker. I think throughout my whole career, the maximum hours I put into poker maybe 150 at max, and on average it's 100, 120 hours. And during the challenge, I played 180 hours during first 3 weeks. Fourth week I didn't play, and also was reviewing the hand, so it was close like 200 hours in 3 weeks. So I can definitely do it if I want to, but it depends like what you want. It's kind of tough question. What you really want, what you think you want, you know?
Yeah, that I don't like reg battling, I guess.
What makes recreationals more fun to play against?
It's having decisions where everything you do is probably good, and then if you do find an exploit, is winning exponentially more than an exploit against a regular.
So you would say sort of the return of investment, and in this case, it's investment is the effort that you put in. You feel like you get a deserved nice good return of the brain power that you put in.
Yeah, it's just like the times I have spent studying spots, I put in so many hours, and then it's like it's hard to even notice the return on investment for the time spent studying. Whereas you can like look at one thing against a recreational, and just immediately see you're winning more in these spots, and it's a big amount more that you're winning.
Probably just that I really need to perform when I'm playing, and that's like very important. It's very easy to just sit yourself down and say, if I play 1 million hands and just play this many tables per day, I will just make this amount of money. But it just doesn't really work like that, because we are not robots. We're actually humans that have to perform when playing, because otherwise we will not be making the amount we think we will make. So yeah, just like really try to focus on performing.
Yeah, so I'm not kidding when I say I think I had like 45 when went soft flop. My red line was in China. Like, things were not looking good for me.
Last year, when I first shot 1K and up, I think it was the most difficult period of time.
I had to move down the stakes, and I couldn't climb back.
It was crazy. Like I think I was playing and studying 80 to 100 hours a week. It was crazy. I was doing nothing else.
I've made 4 WSOP final 2 tables and never made a final table. And so like my whole live poker career has really come down to like 4 or 5 hands.